Successful, but what? They're not successful. Why?
So that's his why buy. But what is he afraid of?
My personal style of education, but still entertain them, bring them along with stories, right? Who do we want to learn from? People who are what? Killing it.
If you're a real man, what do you do? I'm not the only one.
You can't wait to tell your spouse. You can't wait to tell your colleague. You can't wait to go to work and tell somebody. And you're like, oh my God, I can't wait. So what happened?
If you haven't seen my TV show, you should get cable. That's what we need to do.
From doing a TV show to doing corporate events, I've been so lucky to connect with many passionate entrepreneurs worldwide.
What I've learned from a business perspective.
Because this is the formula for success, no matter who you talk to. Attitude will drive your behavior. Would you agree? And your behavior will drive your consequences every single time.
All right, we got the concept. Okay, we got the concept. We got the equipment, right? We got the brand. You guys got that. And then again, we got the content that we create. That's the easy part. This is the big one, the big C, which is the commitment.
What should you do? That's right. All right. 10Xers, do not fail me. True test. Here it comes.
There's skill, and then there's will. Listen to what I'm saying. There is skill, and then there is will. And here's the interesting thing. I know a lot of people who have a lot of skill, but have no what? Will, right? You ever look at somebody who's successful, and you say, why them, why not you? Yes, okay, that's me too.
You have more control, but your costs are also going to be what? Higher.
Now, here's where some of the magic is starting to kick in.
You can talk to any CEO in the B2B business, any CEO. You walk into his office and they only care about three things. People too. Yeah, you with the suit, put it up. There you go. I hope you can see this. I'll try to draw big. Let's pretend for a moment that I had 7 territories. You remember I wrote that out? Yes or no? Boom. Territory 2, territory 3, all the way to territory number what? 7. So now I've segmented my market.
So content is going to start being created by machines. And I'm telling you right now that those people, you guys, the content creators that connect with people are the ones that are going to win. Some people think, well, it won't work for my industry. Really? It'll work for any industry. Trust me. The majority of the time when we're looking to fix something, repair something, or learn something, where do we go? YouTube. We don't even want to read anymore. We go to YouTube. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong.
When you're doing your thing, beautiful things begin to happen. It's like the law of attraction kicks in. You know what I mean? It's almost like you're in line with the universe. Everything works. And when you do your thing, everybody gets an automatic MBA, which stands for what? Mega Bank Account Money. Are you with me? So we don't want to do a thing. We want to do a what? Beautiful.
All right, put it all together for Victor Antonio. Here we go.
All right, there we go. I'm not here to mess around. You ready to learn? Yes or no?
That's how it works in today's market. Whether it's B2B or B2C, you see the similar pattern. How do you just, in other words, say you've got to start doing these things, pushing them, but also encouraging them. Oh, look at this. This is where it gets, dude, this is like so interactive with audiences, Matt. Can you imagine this with your customers? Check this out. Now, what does all this have to do with selling? It has everything to do with selling.
All right, welcome to another Sales After Dark. I've been going for a while. How's everybody doing? Cool. Oh man, we got the chat going already. All right, let me get my glasses on. Let me see who we got. We got Chris Stone, my man. Chris, I missed you. Thank you for the intro. By the way, just ran upstairs to grab some water. Oh man, I ran too fast. Who else is on here? Mukhtar. Milwaukee had a lot of fraudulent votes. They should all be thrown out. Mia Knox, what's happening? West Coast in the house. I know you did, Mia. I saw that. You're a champ. Thank you, Mia. I saw that. I did notice that. Actually celebrated on that one. Hey, Victor. Pete, do your thing. I'm going to do my thing, man. I'm glad to be back. Let me see. What's up, Pete? Jared, my man. Jared, got to schedule the interview, man. We got to schedule the interview, brother. Cool. Let me see. Arvind, Mumbai, India, man. Thank you for joining me, man. It's about, 4 or 5 in the morning over there, man? You are committed, man. You guys saying hi to each other. Very cool. Let me see. What do you got here? Automotive in the house, man. Thank you for being here. Un abrazo, OV, my man, OV. Love hearing from you, man. Rod, Vidre, what's happening? Where have I been? Let me see. By the way, I skipped Heather here. Sorry about that, Heather. Heather Gertie Morgan, thank you for being here. And then Rod, you just said, where have I been? I had to do an event. In fact, I said, I'm going to show you where I was at. I was in Phoenix recording a 2-day virtual event. So I sent Chris this small little video clip, so I thought I'd share with you guys, man. Here it goes. Let me see if I can get it up here. Just a small video where I was at. Here you go.
All right, man, look, some of us have to do some real work, Chris. So we're doing big production virtual. Check it out. Phoenix, Arizona, by the way. So we're doing big production. 2 days worth of shooting. That's Professor X, also known as the genius behind all of this.
All right, Sheila, we're going to have you do this section again, your whole topic right here. All right, everybody ready?
She's my favorite.
4, 3.
Yeah, so this is some of the behind the scenes. I just thought I'd show you that. That's what I was up to. So we were doing, it was a 2-day virtual event, so we're recording 2 days of this. And so, again, we had this semi-nightclub, dinner club that was converted with the stage, the lighting, the whole crew. It's like 3 camera shot with a jib. You know, it's going to be a beautiful production. So anyway, that's where I was at, and I couldn't really do the Sales After Dark from there. I didn't want to do it from the hotel room. It was a little cheesy. So that's where I've been, Rod. Glad to be back. Anyway, Ellie Rodriguez, man, thank you for joining me. Ellie. Edwina says hi. Haven't seen you in a while, Edwina. Glad you're back. Darius, my man, Reeves. Hello, right back at you. And then we got first time, Ellie. Thank you for being here, man. Love that you're here. Leon Daly. Great to be here, man. I'm glad you are. Mokhtar, this is Victor Antonio, man. Thank you for joining us, man. Mohammed Daha, my man. All right, who else is here? We got Melwin Joseph from Bangalore, India, man. Thank you for joining. I know it's early, man. So very cool. It is very cool. Juka, what's happening, man? Anyway, I'm going to do some basic stuff today. Thank you, Rod, for the welcome back. I'm going to do something simple today. By the way, if you're watching this on a replay, I forgot to say this. If you're watching this on the replay, just said hi to my friends. I'm going to just jump into some content right now for like 10, 15 minutes, and then I'll do some Q&A at the end. So today's topic is kind of interesting. It's how do you, this is almost going back to the basics, so I hope you guys don't mind. I'm going to go a little bit back to the sales basics. And then what I want to do is talk about how do you shift somebody from a no to a maybe. It's always hard to go from no to yes. But what if we can just kind of give them in the maybe stage, and then from the maybe stage, move them to the yes stage, almost get them to an intermediate stage. And so what I want to do is, let me just set this up. Typically when we're talking to clients, and let's say you're doing a presentation and you ask for that commitment, right? You ask for that, you lean in and you say, is there any other reason we shouldn't get started today? And the customer might say, no. But again, I always want to emphasize, there's different types of no's that you get, and you got to listen carefully to see which no you're getting. For example, maybe you'll get a soft no. Let's say a soft no, we'll call this one a no, and we'll call this one a soft no. A soft no may be something, it'll be like, they'll say no, I'm not sure, right? I'm not sure would be one. Or if you're not sure, maybe they're not convinced, right? And you can, if you listen for the tone, you can actually hear that, right? No, I'm not sure, just not really convinced. That to me is a soft no. That to me says they're not sure, they just need more convincing, right? So they need more. So where do we go from there? The other one is, let's call this one a medium no. And the medium no, it's a little more forceful. The medium no is almost like, no, this one I like, I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm not ready. I'm just not ready right now, Victor. Now's not a good time. Now's not a good time. So that's kind of a little more forceful no. And then there's the hard no, right? And the hard no is basically no. That's it. Let's not even have the conversation. So if it's a hard no, you'll know it's a hard no. But I want you to tune your ears to when you hear things like, no, you know what, right now I'm not sure, I'm not convinced. Give me some other lines people use on you that give you an indication it's a soft no. I don't think so. I'm not feeling it, so to speak. Now's not a good time. Now's not a good time. Could be another one, right? Now's not a good time. Could be another one. And so you have all these different types of no's that you go, these are not hard no's, right? So again, type in a couple of them and let me know what you often get. But if we detect that they're right here, they're using these two types right here, these two types of no's right here, then maybe there's a chance for us to move them not to a yes. I think that's kind of a big step. But what if we can shift them over to like maybe, kind of put them into the, well, let me keep engaging, right? Now, the tendency for new salespeople is when you hear a no, whether it's a soft no, a medium no, or a hard no, most people will say, okay, well, get back to us, let us know what you think. If you change your mind, if something new happens, you should have a shift in priorities. You know where we're at. Thank you for your time. Horrible. Not a great close, right? Because basically you're just letting the customer off the hook. Now, if it's a hard no, then you know it's a hard no. Then you just thank them for the time, gotta go type of thing. But if you hear the soft no's, I'm not sure, now's not a good time. Well, right now I'm not convinced, and maybe right now, I can't afford it. These are soft, medium no's. And when you hear these no's, that should like trigger you to automatically say it's not a hard no. And again, if it's a hard no, just stop selling. You'll know it. But most of the time, you're going to get some soft and medium no's. So what do you do when you get a soft or medium no? Well, let's go with scenario number one. Scenario number one, what a lot of people do is when they get a no, right? And I'll put soft or medium down here. That's soft or medium no. Immediately, they launch into trying to convince them, right? You just launch into a new pitch, right? We'll call that pitch 2.0. You launch into a new pitch. Like somebody says, well, right now, I'm just not convinced that, well, let me try to convince you. Let me just show you some more stuff, right? Well, now's not a good time. Well, it's never a really good time. Let me show you why now might be a good time, right? And they do stuff like that. Well, I don't know if I can afford that. Definitely a soft no. I don't know if I can afford that. Well, let me show you what plans we have available, right? And again, you jump in immediately trying to solve the problem. And the more you try to push the customer towards saying yes, the more they're going to pull back. If somebody says, right now I'm just not sure. Well, again, if you just say, well, let me just show you some more stuff to make you sure. I'm not convinced. Well, let me show you some more stuff to, again, try to convince you. And again, it doesn't work. It really doesn't work because all you're doing is pushing your opinion, your pitch 2.0 on the actual customer. Here's a simple thing you can do. Now I'm going to give you a simple strategy that you can use. Very simple, basic, sales 101, but sometimes you just got to go back to the basics, right? So let's say instead of jumping into it, true pros will do this. They get the no, right? They'll get the no, they'll get the soft, medium, no, right? So think of whatever no we just talked about. I'm not convinced, I'm not sure, maybe now's not a good time. Now's not a good time, right? So when you hear that no, and you know it's a soft no, then here's the question you're going to ask yourself. You're going to ask them, rather, what makes you say that? Okay, by the way, and this is used in a lot of sales training programs. And I love this. I've always liked this line. What makes you say that? Now, let's slow down here a little bit. Notice I didn't jump into a pitch. I heard the no. I didn't jump into my pitch 2.0 trying to convince them. I asked them the question, what makes you say that? Or why would you say that? Or, can you talk to me more about why you think that? You can play anyway, but just let's use this one. What makes you say that? Now, as soon as you ask the question, well, guess what happens? You've now taken control of the conversation. But now, once you say this, you're just going to go what? Silent, right? Silent. Sorry, I can't spell. You're going to go silent. You're not going to say anything. And the customer is going to have to talk. Well, why would you say that? What makes you say that, right? I'm not sure. I'm not convinced. Let's say that, right? Well, what makes you say that? Now the customer has to give you something, right? The prospect has to give you something. And this is what you're trying to do. And by the way, we're not trying to sell here. Not trying to sell here. We're trying to figure out, why is the person not convinced? Why are they kind of not sure? Again, if it's a hard no, we're done. They're like, no, don't want it, Victor, keep it. That's a hard no. But if it's a soft no or a medium no, then I want to know, why is it like that? What makes you say that? And now they're going to have to tell me what they're thinking. And what I'm hoping to get is more information, more info on their thought process, right? Because if I get more info on their thought process, now I'm having a conversation. Notice that this re-engages the conversation. By asking this question, I re-engage the conversation. What makes you say that? Now the customer is going to have to give me some more information. And remember, the rule in selling is, if I can keep you talking, if I can keep you engaged, if I can keep the conversation going, a meaningful conversation going, then maybe we can move towards a maybe. I'm not trying to get to a yes, I'm just trying to get you back to a maybe. You're going from a soft no, you want to get them to a maybe. So what's going to happen is that they're going to give you more information and you're going to engage, and maybe you'll ask another question, right? And so this will be like a little loop that you're in here. You ask another question. First question, they give you more information. You ask another question, they give you more information. And now you're gathering information. Now, in gathering this information, you'll know when you have enough information. Now listen carefully. Rookie salespeople, amateur salespeople will automatically want to just, if they hear something like right here, the person said something, well, I wish it had this. For example, I wish it had a red light. I wish your product had a red light. I'm just making this up, by the way. Let's say that's what the person said. Well, immediately, you're going to say, well, we do have a red light. And then you're going to jump into your pitch. Wrong. Wait a minute. Patience. Patience. What you should ask, oh, you don't have a red light. I said, well, can I ask you a question? Why is that red light, notice the question again, why is that red light important to you? Customer's going to say, it'll help us detect alarms, middle of the night. I'm making this up, right? And then I said, have you had many alarms in the past? He said, yeah, and this is what's happened. And again, you keep asking questions, and notice, I know I have the red light in my product. I know I can say, I got that. But I want to understand why the red light is important to that person, that client. So I can ask them, why is it important to you? Why do you need that? How is it impacting your business? What happens if you do have it versus if you don't have it? Does your current product have it? No. And then when I'm ready, when I feel like I've gotten to the root of the real problem. See, feature, benefit, advantage, the underlying problem. We've talked about this in the past. If I just start talking about features, which is the red light, I'm not really having an engaging conversation. But if I find out the meaning behind the red light, then I'm having a meaningful conversation. I'm engaging the client in a real conversation. So don't be so anxious to pounce on something just because you hear something that you know that you can answer. Does that make sense? Too often we hear something, the candidate said, well, if it had this report, if it had the ability to generate this type of report, I would be interested. And immediately your brain just screams, let them know you have it. Let them know you have it. But again, slow your roll. Slow your roll. What if you just say, that report, I said, why is that report important to you? He says, well, it'll tell us this, it'll tell us that, it'll tell us that. I said, what other type of reports do you also need to make better decisions, better forecasting? He said, we need this type, we need that type. Now, in your mind, you know that you can generate those reports. In your mind, you know you have the flexibility to design, customize, personalize reports. But as you're digging stuff out of the person, they're telling you exactly why it's important to them, why they really need it. And now you're really getting to the core of what's really motivating them to actually want to buy. This week I heard a phrase, and it's a book by, I read a book by Garen Hess. I'll talk about the book probably next week. Great book. But he talked about emotional IQ, or rather emotional ROI. That's what he called it, emotional ROI. That's beyond just return on investment calculations, you got to make it emotional. By that he meant, he says, look, you can let them know that if they buy your product, they're going to get an ROI. But if you understand the reason behind why they need that ROI, what it means to them, he said that's more important than just the ROI. An emotional ROI ties the reason why they want it, why they need it. And so what happens here is you're caught in this loop and you're asking great questions. The best salespeople are patient. They're digging for information, because if you launch too quick, you want to answer the red light bulb question, right? Well, we have the red light, let me talk about that. But again, what happens is you stop the conversation. You stop the flow of information because there might be other things besides the red light that they need. So really take time to discover. This is the discovery phase here where we're asking a lot of questions. Now, as you're talking, as you're engaging, you're also getting more information, which means when you finally decide to do your pitch 2.0, you're more likely going to be aligned with them than not, because you understand. Again, it's not a product pitch, it's about really understanding what the customer needs. So when you get a no, a soft no or a medium no, let's ask the question, well, what makes you say that? Because we're digging for information. We're digging for information, right? And then go silent and then have them give you information. Ask questions, even if you can answer the one question, keep asking as to why it's important. One of the books I've mentioned, I think right at the beginning when we did the Sales After Dark, one of my favorite books is The Toyota Way. I don't know what year it was written, but the Toyota Way talks about the company Toyota and how they use the 5 whys to really dig deep into finding out the root cause of any issue or problems they're having in their production line and how they can resolve them. The same goes for sales. By asking a lot of why and digging deep, you really get to the core of what's really motivating to want to make or not make a decision. And so the benefit of doing this is 1. Let's go through it. 1, remember, got to keep them talking. If somebody gives you a no, you want to keep them talking, because once a customer stops talking or a potential prospect stops talking, then what happens is the conversation ends. So by asking this question, again, help me explain. Tell me, what makes you say that? Help me understand. Why do you think that? Can you explain that? Can you elaborate on that more, on why you think that way? And whatever flavor you want to add here in terms of the questions, then go silent, get more information. So you're keeping the client talking. But number 2, beyond just talking, is that you're actually engaging the client. This is important. You keep the engagement going. Now, and the third part obviously is that if I can keep them engaged and going, then maybe I can move them towards a maybe, right? And the hope is obviously to move them towards a yes if I can do that. But the fact that I keep them talking, I'm engaged with them, I can now adjust my presentation, my pitch. Again, once I've collected the information, right? Because what may have happened is I didn't dig deep enough at the beginning. But now, having collected more information, I can now really do a more complete presentation. And it may have happened that you just missed something in your presentation. See, you did before this right here, before you got to know, you did a presentation. For example, you asked questions, you did the presentation, and they said no. Right? Soft no, medium no. But then you say, what makes you say that? And then you realize you start getting into more detail, more information. You start extracting more. And then at this point, you're having real dialogue, real conversation. Now, the way to do it, the tone that you should have is not one that you're trying to pressure them. Respect the client, respect the buyer saying, no, I'm not interested right now. And then with a very soft tone, I said, what makes you say that? Can you help me understand a bit? And this will help me in my next sales or in the future when I deal with other customers. Again, find your wording, but you're having a nice conversation. And if you can do that, get more information, then again, this is what you want to extract information. Now, don't forget what I told you a while back in my other Sales After Dark. When you ask a question, and then the customer starts talking, right? And when they stop talking, studies have shown that if you just nod your head, right, and wait like 2 or 3 seconds, they will give you 25% more information. Because they'll feel uncomfortable because there's a pause. So they'll say that and you'll go, and watch, they'll start talking again. I do this all the time. It works. I'm telling you, you just have to be comfortable with that silence. But that's another way of extracting more information. Instead of just asking a question, you just go silent after they say what they're going to say. And they sometimes just want to give you more information just to fill in that space. But some of the times that information you get is valuable information that you can use. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. Again, I'm not trying to get from a no to a yes. I'm just trying to get from a no to a maybe by truly understanding. And by the way, last point, if I can wrap this up like this. Let's say it's still a no. Let's say it's still a no. Here's what's going to happen. Here's the benefit. If you ask this question, what makes you say that? And again, find your variation, the question you're comfortable with. And then you get more information and you go into this little knowledge loop right here. Even after you do the second pitch and you still get a no, you now have acquired new information on what clients might want, that in your next presentation, you'll be able to be more effective in your presenting. In other words, you'll be able to bring up those issues early on and make sure that you communicate them effectively. For example, when we talked about the feature with the red light, you know, what you're going to learn is that in the future, when I talk to this type of customer, my ideal client profile, what I want to do is make sure I mention that we have the little red light, that we have these reports, whatever it may be. You'll make your presentation that much better. That's what this process is good for. Again, like anything in life, it's all iteration. You just get better and better and better. But if the sale stopped here, they said no, and you said, okay, well, thank you. You know, I appreciate you giving us your time. You know, if you ever need us in the future, let us know. Well, that's it. That's all. You never gained this information. You never gained this insight because you simply didn't ask one more question. What makes you say that? You'll get more information. And that's it for this Sales After Dark. So anyway, I'm going to go back to the chat board and the comment board, and let's go through some of this. Man, I feel like kind of rusty. I haven't done this for almost a week, man. So anyway, let me see. I know I missed a few. Mohammed, blah. Very cool. Jukas here. I got right here. Welcome back, I think. Let me see right here. Louis, Abney, hey, Victor, New Mexico in the house. Love New Mexico, love the weather. We almost moved out to New Mexico, Las Cruces, back in the day. Howdy from New Zealand, man. Guthrie, thank you for joining us, man. I don't know what time it is, but cool. Austin in the house, man. Rob, thank you for joining us. Cameron for Raw. I love the live so much. Great information. Thank you. Thank you, Cameron, for joining us. Not ready just yet. Okay. Maybe later. Okay, cool. Not sure if it's a good fit. Oh, I see what, no, okay. I love the live show. Okay, so you said, yeah, not ready just yet. Again, when you hear that line, Louis, right, it's a great question to ask. What makes you say that? It's a great line, right? Somebody says that, it's like, not ready just yet. And if you just say, well, when will you be ready? It just sounds very antagonistic. But if you simply say, well, what makes you say that? Let the customer just give you the information. Maybe later. Again, what makes you say that? Not sure it's a good fit. What makes you say that? You know, and again, it's just trying to keep the conversation going. Hello from Cheyenne, Wyoming, quarantine. Gingy, drive for. Man, I don't think I've ever had anybody from Cheyenne, Wyoming, man, so welcome aboard. Jumping in late from Las Vegas, my man, Brian Gator, man. Thank you for being here, man. This is Gold, man. Jay, thank you for being here. It's Golden as well. Hi, Brian. You got some hellos going on here, man. I'll just skip the hellos you guys say to each other. And then right here, don't pounce on the pain and ask how and why to get to the problem that creates the pain. As always, great information. You don't want to just jump on it too quickly because there might be, it's almost like digging for gold. It's like if you found one nugget, you're not just going to stop digging and go, I'm going home, right? You're going to say, what else is there? And you're going to what? You're going to start digging, right? You're going to start digging for more. That's almost the same mindset for asking questions. Great point, Spencer. Thank you for bringing that up. Oh, man, I need to slow my roll. I don't know what that means. Leon, exactly, Victor. We should dig deep into the questions that we ask. Most time, prospect will just give us information, but if we dig deeper, we can really get the insights. What is really that problem? That's exactly it, Leon. You got it, man. It just takes it takes like almost like restraint and patience, because it's like you get excited because you're like, I can answer that question, right? So you got to pull back a little bit. Juka says, brilliant as always. Juka, thank you very much as always for joining us, man. Thank you also. Is this day of COVID, do you use the same techniques via Zoom? Oh, absolutely, man. I think definitely Ovum Ministries, yeah, you definitely should use it. It's a very gentle question. Again, I often say just find your phrasing, something you feel comfortable with, how you would say it. And let me know what you think. Spencer, in Alpharetta, have our sales staff watching all your playbacks. Love it, man. Thank you, Spencer. Appreciate that. Let me see. Oh, man, I got this. Shah, I'm going to screw this name up, man. From Bangladesh and based in Malaysia. Shahriar Iqbal. Did I get that? Was I close, man? Let me know if I was up. But thank you for joining us, man. Thank you. Victor, I never look at the way soft and hard. So brilliant. Yeah. I think the soft and hard, man. It's like, what if they don't start talking it through the 3 seconds? That's usually a problem, but not really. Let's say you're asking a question. Remember, you're processing too. You're not listening, without thinking. You're not listening passively. You're actively listening. So if they say something, and let's say you said something to me, Rod, and I do this, and you don't ask a question, I said, well, let me dig in on that one question. I can pick something out in what you just said because I'm listening actively. I said, I didn't quite understand that right there. Can you elaborate on that? You mentioned that, the timing is a little bit off. Can you tell me what would be great timing? Like what type of conditions would be for great timing? So you would have to be very on it, man, really actively listening. So if they don't say anything, I'm listening already. I have the next question already teed up, right? So I want to ask it, but I'd rather just not say anything and let you say something. So have that question, man, just locked and loaded, man. Victor, what questions do you ask to jump into conversations about the ROI? So I think this is almost like a 2 or 3 layer question, right? So when I'm talking to a client, well, first of all, let me back up, Melvin. If it's a B2B scenario, let's just go with B2B because that's where ROI really really comes into play a lot. I know for a fact, and you've seen my past Sales After Dark, there's 3 things that B2B executives care about, or managers, right? Increase revenue, reduce cost, or expand market share, right? So they're always looking for that. So you have to tie your product into increasing revenue, reducing costs, or expanding their market share. Now they're looking at buying your product, right? Could be software, could be hardware, could be firmware, doesn't matter. What they're looking at is 1, what is the return on investment and can you prove it, right? That's the first one. 2, what's the break-even point? And number 3 is the total cost of ownership. What does it really cost to own that product? So when I launch into a question about ROI, I first begin with understanding their challenges. I know, for example, I'm going to use you as an example. Melvin, you're the CEO of a company. I said, Melvin, I know there's 3 things that you're really focused in on, which is increasing revenue, reducing costs, and expanding market share. And that's why we're here. We have a product that will help you reduce your costs, which means that it'll also tie into your return on investment, how fast you'll get your money back. Because Mr. Customer, isn't that always a concern? Right, and they're going to say absolutely. But notice that to me, the big picture is increase revenue, reduce costs, expand market share. I call the value trinity. ROI is supporting those 3. Does that make sense? No, it's not so much I want to talk about ROI. That's me getting my money back. What I want to hear is I get my money back, but how is it going to help me grow my business? How can I increase revenue, reduce my costs, or expand market share? I would focus on that as the big headline, and then ROI, total cost of ownership, and the break-even points just support those 3 major points. That's how I would kind of frame it, and then use questions, and then you would bring up the questions in that format. When it comes to reducing cost, Mr. Customer, this is why we're here, and this is the product we want to talk about. And we'll also show you that the break-even point, or the return on investment, is whatever it may be. That's how I would kind of play into it. Let me know if that answers your question. Great techniques to gain additional knowledge and insights. Thank you. Thank you, man. From Malaysia, kicking in, man. Kartik, thank you for joining us, man. Appreciate you. You are rocking, man. Vera, thank you very much. Juka. What if the customer does not have an open mind? Anything that could be done with that? No, I mean, if the customer just says, no, I'm not interested, they're This is a good question because there is a decision to be made here, Juke. It's a good question. I'm not going to avoid it because this is a very good question. What if you have a customer? Because in this case, I think that would be a hard no, right? So this is somebody who gives you a hard no. Now, if they're going to give you a hard no, and you know it's a hard no, most likely you're going to lose that sale anyway, right, Juke? You got nothing to lose, man. You got nothing to lose. So what I've done in the past, and again, you got to measure it. You got to measure it correctly. Is that you can take this when you get a hard no, like that person doesn't have an open mind, just says no, right? Is that you can be very hard and very direct. So for example, and I'm going to make this up, but you'll get the idea. If somebody gives me a hard no, and I'll say something like this, I said, well, explain to me, why this is such a hard no for you. Help me understand. And they're going to probably say, I don't need to help you understand, right? They can say something as smart like that. Well, Victor, I don't need you to understand. All I know is this won't work for my business. And then I would come back, and this is where I would make a decision. I said, because I can be very hard, and I'll say, no. I said, you don't understand our product. I understand your business. You don't seem to understand our product because I know that I can help you increase revenue, reduce costs, expand market share. If that doesn't mean anything to you, then I understand. You don't understand how our product can help you. And you got to be like, if you're going to go that hard after somebody, you just got to be careful. You can't be a jerk about it. But there's nothing wrong with being direct. If I know, Juka, let's say you're the person that said no to me, and I know I can help you, Juka. I know I can help your company. I feel like this responsibility to make you pay attention. It's a joke, you're not listening to me. I said, I know you said no, but you're not understanding what I have to offer. Let me walk through it. And sometimes it is your conviction. That's the best way of putting it. It is your conviction that grabs people by the neck and makes them pay attention. It's almost like you want to say, you idiot, listen to me. Now, you don't say that. That's not polite. You don't do that. But in your mind, that's your mindset. You're not listening to me. I'm trying to help you. So if I know that my product or service can help you, and you say, no, it can't. And I'm like, yes, it can. Let me show you how. Now, if the person still doesn't want to engage, then, the person simply has another agenda. They never really wanted to buy in the first place. They have somebody they're happy with, and that could be it. But so be careful how you use it. When you get a hard no, there's nothing wrong with going directly at them. Like, why is that a no? When I just showed you that I could increase your revenue, reduce costs, expand market share. Tell me how we can help you. Because we've helped companies like you before. And the fact is, once they say the hard no, they're going to leave anyway. You'll probably never see them again. You're probably never going to get that business. But again, keeping it professional, there's nothing wrong with challenging the actual customer when you get a hard no. But you got to be careful. That's a fine edge, man. So be careful. That one should come with instructions. Warning. Be careful. Sonny, man, thank you very much from India, man. Thank you for being here. Earl, awesome suggestions, Vic, about the conversation pause. Earl, I'm telling you, it works. You just got to be comfortable with it. GD says, great information. Would your beginner online course cover this and much more? There's a lot of stuff. This one, I don't think this one's in there, right, in the Sales Velocity Academy. But there's so many, like the How to Sell course, why clients buy. These are great courses that you should really, by the way, we're talking about the Sales Velocity Academy, that right there. So check out the Sales Velocity Academy. So there's some great beginner courses in there if you're just starting out in sales. So I'm telling you, there's a lot of great courses. So whether you're beginner, intermediate, advanced, I got a little bit of everything for you. So I think there's going to be some great stuff in there for you as well. Morocco's in the house. All right, love it, man. I'm from the Lou. Awesome suggestions, Vic, about the conversation of pause, man. Let me see. No, I'm just shopping around right now. Would you want to ask, what is he shopping for? What prerequisites are you shopping for? So when somebody says, I'm just shopping around right now, Liz, we've talked about this in a past Sales After Dark. Here's how you would handle this one. Let's say somebody comes into the store and you always say, can I help you find something? To which they're going to say, no. 90% of the time. I mean, you do it, I do it. No, right? And so again, where do you go with that, right? Here's what you should do. Here's my suggestion. If somebody comes in and says, no, I'm just shopping around, you got to take the high road all the time. No matter how negative they go on you, take the high road. And I would say, Louis, well, I'm glad you're shopping around. That's what we love when people come here and shop around. Now, and again, let's pretend this is a clothing store. So I don't know what type of store we're talking about, but let's say it's a clothing store, right? It could be a furniture store, it could be a clothing store, it doesn't matter. But let's say it's a clothing store. I say, look, and I'll say, I'm glad you came in. We love when people come in just to look around and shop. Now, let me highlight a couple of things you might be interested in. We got suits over here on that side. We got sweaters over here on that side. But the most important part, right over here, we have a sale on summer clothes, da-da-da-da-da. My name's Victor. I'll be moving around here, so if you need anything, as far as you want to just try something out, and again, we love it when you try something out. Got the closets over there, and if you just need anything, just go Victor, and I'll be right over. And what you're trying to do is create, this buying experience, Louis, that makes people relax. Notice I didn't try to sell you anything. I just told you I was like playing tour guide here. Suits over there, sweaters over there, summer specials over there. Hey, by the way, need the closets right over here, right over here. And if we don't have it, let me know. Maybe I can find it for you in your size. And all of a sudden, when you hear somebody talk like that to you, look casual, my name's Victor, I'll be over there somewhere, let me know if you need me. The person feels more relaxed. And, there was a study that I talk about. I'm trying to remember who the study was, so don't quote me. I don't have the name, but I know I have the number right. Is that when people walk into your store and you ask them, can I help you find something? Just simply asking the question boosted sale like by 25 or 30%. If I remember the numbers correctly. So just simply asking the question when somebody walks in is already impactful, which is why retail stores do it. But what if we could add a new layer to this and then say, we love when people come in to shop around. So let me tell you what's here, let me tell you what's there, check out this over there. And by the way, if you just need to try something, it's right here. And that's what you want to create, a shopping experience where people just feel comfortable coming into your store. Let me know if that helps. Cheng, what's happening, man? Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Let me see what else. We got one more, Victor. Get Sales at Velocity Academy. The Sales Velocity Academy, it's just some great courses. Like I said, 50 courses. We're going to be adding January. We're launching a new series of courses that I think you're going to really like. So anyway, more to come on that, more to come. So yeah, check out the Sales Velocity Academy. Let me know what you think, man. Sergio Alvarez, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Todd Weinstein, man. King Vic, always insightful. Much appreciated, man. Thank you for being here. Let me tap the screen right here so it'll come back. Much love from Long Island. Thank you, brother, man. Thank you very much, man. GD's back. All right. The sales comes from what the customer wants, not what we want. Yet we must also educate them. Then we can influence their wants, but it has to relate to their wants, turmoils, right? That is absolutely correct. Said another way, people buy for their reasons, not yours, right? So this is a great point you're bringing up, GD. They buy for their reasons, not yours. Our job, as you pointed out, rightly so, is to educate them. I always say you first have to empathize with them, figure out what they're trying to get to, what they're trying to accomplish, then educate them. That's the second part. And then the third part is you empower them, you give them the information and just maybe offer them some options and let them decide. That's buying in today's market. It's not so much about what we want to sell them, it's what they need and our ability, and this is the key phrase, to help make buying easier. Because customers today have so many choices, so many options that what they need is somebody like GD to say, hey, educate me, help me understand this so I can make a buying decision. So what we're seeing is a move away from selling and a move towards buyer enablement. You're going to start hearing that phrase more and more, buyer enablement. What it means is that we've been focusing on enabling salespeople to sell, but we need to also enable buyers to buy, which means is how do we educate buyers so they can make a better decision, which is what you're bringing up, which is a fantastic point. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. How would you make the prospect open up if after the no, he or she is still reluctant providing any feedback? Well, when somebody's reluctant to open up is that, remember, if I go back here, Rod, let me go back a little bit here. So before here, let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of this, Rod, and I'll answer your question. Remember, if they're not opening up, it's because somewhere in the pre-part here, in the presentation piece that got you to the no, you didn't build enough trust or rapport. And if you remember, this is my definition of trust, and I'm sticking to this because I think it's a great definition. Trust has two components. The first one is you take my point of view, right? You understand me, much like GD was talking about. You understand me. You really understand what I'm trying to solve, what I'm doing, what I need. And then you also have, I call it the BIM, that I want to know that you have my best interest in mind, that you're not just trying to put your hand in my pocket, Rod. I need you to know that you understand what I'm trying to accomplish and you're looking out for me. You have my best interest in mind, not yours. And that, if we don't do that, then we're going to have a hard time getting customers to open up, man. So, building wealth, man, right back at you. Sending love right back, man. Sony, you're back. That's okay if you're late, man, but you made it. That's the important part. All right, a couple more, then I'm out of here. Yes, you got my name right. Cool. I have been following you for the last 3 years, and that gives me a lot of inspiration to work on sales, and I have changed my profession from finance to sales. Go make your money, man. Do your thing, man. I'd love to hear that. Let me see what we got. Cheng from Cambodia. Let me just shrink you down here a little bit so I can get this in the screen. All right. I am from Cambodia. I've been following you for years since I love the fact that you are a great sales guru and my personal sales mentor. Thank you, man. I'm selling social products such as biodigester, social products, and solar egg incubators, which seem to be really hard to help those rural people to purchase. So you're talking about people who live in rural areas. These are I don't know what you mean by social products. Cheng, that's where I'm confused. That's a biodigester. That just sounds wrong, man. But tell me what that is. And solar egg incubators, which makes sense. I can see people using it in rural, which seems to be really hard to help those. And again, it really depends why they're not buying. If somebody's not buying a specific product, it's either one, you're going after the wrong market, two, your price points are off, or three, you're not presenting your product right. So it's either one of those three. I usually isolate not the right client, price points off, you're not really positioning the product to show them the real benefit. So keep that in mind. Camlish, where have you been, my friend? The way I suppose we can also give them part-by-part process implementation as per their requirements, a win-win solution. Absolutely. Sometimes it's just walking them through. And if somebody says, I'm not ready to do that, well, again, by getting more information out of your client, you may find out that it's just that they don't want to do it all at one time. It may be something, as you say, part by part, piece by piece, and it's in phases. Cheryl says, great to be here. Hope you had a good break. I did, but I was working in Phoenix. Blown off with your perspective as always, man. Thank you very much. Melvin, thank you very much for joining me, man. Jukas, man, sending you love right back. Gator says, a customer that does not have an open mind or is not interested is not a customer. They are a prospect and not a very good one at that. Boom! Drop the mic on that one, man. GD's back. We have to dig into the prospect. They don't tell us the depth, the speak, and invite us to prove deeper, but they won't excavate for us. They put the onus on us. We must also be like therapists. Yeah, you understand. The therapist piece, I always joke about because, it's like a psychologist, right? And what you're doing, psychologists never really answer questions. In many cases, that's where we differ, by the way, because eventually we have to answer the customer's question. But in many cases, psychologists will, they'll just turn the question around. You'll say, I don't like that product. A psychologist will say, well, tell me more about that. You know what I mean? And they will never answer the question. And then you'll say, well, I had a nightmare about your product. Well, what do you think that nightmare meant? And so we have to be kind of a therapist, but with purpose, which means we're asking questions to really try to figure out what they're really struggling with. And maybe my next Sales After Dark, I'll get into the different reasons why, people hold back or maybe don't want to reveal information. So, but anyway, GD, thank you, man, for your contribution there. Thank you very much. Joe Andreas, do you think there are services easier to sell in businesses than others in absolute sense? If so, in your opinions, why are they? Do you think there are services easier to sell to businesses than others? Yes, I do. Because it's if you think about it, Joe, it really is, I hate to get back to supply and demand, but it's sometimes supply and demand. And then sometimes it's just easy to understand. Let's go with the supply and demand. That's probably an easier argument to have right now. Like before, the Zoom, right? The Zoom calls. They were doing well before the pandemic, before COVID, but now they're doing exceptionally well. You don't have to sell it. It's just flying off the shelf, right? If you're a toilet paper manufacturer, your product's flying off the shelf, right? Because of the demand that's out there. And so if you try to buy like camera equipment, I don't know if you notice camera equipment, cables, stuff like that, electronics, things to communicate virtually now, you see those prices going up. It's not hard to sell these things, right? Now, what happens is when demand goes up, more suppliers jump in, therefore making it more competitive in the market and making it harder to differentiate yourself. So there's the con of being too popular. So there are some products that just seem to sell themselves. In the speaking business, for example, which I am in, I should say I wasn't because I'm doing it virtually now, but which I am in, some speakers, because they have a very niche topic, very niche topic, very specific, they get hired like this. They book like that because they have something very unique, that's very different, that kind of has a little twist that other people don't have. So it's the same service. We're both in the speaking business, but their message is a little different, which is why they sell more. In my business, we have more competition, more sales trainers, more sales gurus, more sales experts, so there's more competition. So I don't know if that helps, but in my opinion, products sell well for a while. This is, by the way, this is very natural. Products will sell well for a while. Services will sell easily for a while. But then other people start noticing, and then more competitors jump in. A good place to look to read more about that, study Michael Porter's 5 Forces. Michael Porter's 5 Forces. So go online, and if you just type in Michael, sorry about the spelling, Michael Porter, and then and he defines the 5 forces of a market, right? And what creates demand. And it's a very interesting topic, and I love Michael Porter's stuff, so it's good stuff. Check it out. Let me know if that helps out, Joe. A couple more that I'm out of here. Lewis says, I'm in window and door sales. So we go into the home. We get a lot of, let me think about it. No, just shopping around right now. No, ready for a whole. Well, yeah. One of my clients, Lewis, is Window World. So I know this topic very well. And so the short version of this is, how are you qualifying and framing everything before you actually get on location? That's a big thing. How you qualify, the questions you ask up front pretty much determine what's going to happen in the home. So again, if you're getting to shop around when you get to the house, your pre-qualification needs work up front, and then maybe part of your process at the beginning needs more commitment up front as well. So like I said, right now that business is booming. I know for a fact, at least for companies like Window World, like even the pest control company, pool companies. So you're in the right business right now. I'm sure there's a lot of business out there. So it's just a matter of getting people to kind of commit. So I feel your pain on that one. I hear you, man. Sometimes when excavating for the prospect deeper desires, I'm over attached to what I want to find to make the sale, but this is not true qualifying screening. Not all prospects' desires match. Man, that is, so GD's killing it today. He's just killing it with some good stuff. What he just said, I don't know if it's a he or she, but what you just said is so important. And I'll start wrapping up with this one. Zach says, what does MUTE stand for? Management buyer, user buyer, technology buyer, economic buyer, 4 types of buyers. But what GD is saying here is really interesting, because sometimes when we're asking the questions, if we go back here, this is really, I'm just glad you brought up this point, because it's kind of brilliant actually. So let me just take this off. When we're asking the questions, and I'll bring his comments back up, is that when you're asking these questions, sometimes, or right here, when you're asking these questions, sometimes we're looking for a certain answer. You know what I mean? We're looking for something. And we keep asking questions until the customer gives it. And what happens is you become so focused on what you want to hear that you're missing what the customer is saying. Because that's what he or she is saying, GD's saying. You're so focused on what you want to hear that you're missing what they're really saying. And that falls under the category of selective perception, which is you really look for things, and that in and of itself is the problem. And so I'm glad you highlight that. So Zach, so there's 4 types of buyer, major buyers. There's a management buyer, let's say an executive C-level buyer, a user buyer, somebody's going to actually use that, whatever you're selling. The technology buyer might be like a CIO or a CTO, and the economic buyer might be a person in purchasing. So when you're dealing with a company, you typically have 4 different types of buyers. There could be more. Like now there's like legal people are now actually buying, are on the buying team. So we can add legal to that as well. So those are just different types of buyers. So anyway, I'm gonna start wrapping up here. So let me give you some final thoughts on this one. As always, man. So by the way, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And if you haven't hit the like button, you should. And do me a favor, just share it with one person. That's all I ask from you guys. If you can just share the Sales After Dark with just one person, una persona, I would appreciate that. Final thoughts. So again, you got to be careful that when you hear the soft or medium no's, again, don't be too quick to shut down the conversation by saying, thank you, again, if you change your mind, think about us. That's not a good close. What you want to, again, is push. You get the soft no's and the medium no's. You want to say, well, what makes you say that? And again, by asking questions, you're taking control of the conversation. You're getting them to talk to you. And you're getting them to engage and give you more information. And what you're hoping to get is the real reason behind the soft no or the medium no. And maybe there's something that you didn't mention in your presentation that through that conversation, through that dialogue, through that little loop of asking questions, getting more information, again, you'll get more information. That means you'll be able to do a better presentation. If not in that deal, the following deal. But in that deal, you may discover that there's a lot of things you can do and you really do line up. Now again, it's all about tone. When you say to somebody, well, what makes you say that? Again, say it with I always say with a warm heart. Like you're really trying to help, because that's what selling is today. Selling is really about helping people. It's not trying to sell them. It's not trying to close them. It's not about selling them what you want. They have needs. They have wants. Our job is to line them up, right? That's why we have to talk to the right people. So try not to actually just pitch to people and just try to close them. Really try to have a conversation with them. I talked about my sales process. I would say you first got to empathize. I get you. I understand you. Then you got to educate them. Here's what you haven't thought about. Here's what you might want to consider. And then empower them. Here are some options I would recommend. And it's that simple process of selling that's going to make you more effective. But again, by asking those questions, really digging deep into what may be behind that resistance, once you start understanding these things, by the way, let me just step back here for a second. I want to pause. If you did this with the next, let's say 10 to 15, 20 customers, right? You just ask that extra question. What makes you say that? When you get the soft or medium no, the knowledge you will gain, listen to me, the knowledge you will gain, you'll be able to use in your next process. You'll get better at selling. Why? Because the more you're asking these questions, the more you're gathering information, but you're also you're building an arsenal of knowledge in your database, your mental database, that when you do presentations, you'll be able to incorporate some of these typical resistance points in your actual presentation. So take these soft no, medium no's, even if you don't close a deal, even if you can't move them towards a maybe, keep in mind that what you will be guaranteed is that you will learn more and you'll be better in your next presentation. And on that note, this is Victor Antonio signing off. Thank you for the great questions. I appreciate you. We will see you on Tuesday, next Sales After Dark. And again, Victor Antonio, check out the Sales Influence Podcast if you haven't already. Sales Influence Podcast, you have to check it out. Hit the like button down there. And again, thank you for joining me. This is Victor Antonio, always reminding you, selling ain't hard when you know how.